We are pleased to welcome to the program the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, the SEC Coach of the Year, and also the head coach of the #1 seed in the NCAA Tournament, which starts Friday. That's tomorrow. Coach Wes Hart, welcome. Good to see you.
Appreciate you having me.
We discussed this a few weeks ago, but belief in what you could build at Alabama and what it could be to get to this point, realizing you've got bigger goals and they do start tomorrow, but to this point, it's got to be incredibly special.
Oh, absolutely. Thankfully we had an administration that was, patient with us and knew that it was going to take time, and a team and a program that believed in what we were doing, and it's been awesome.
You basically ran through the regular season awards with you winning Coach of the Year and the All-League Team, Player of the Year, all of those designations. That's deserved, and I've got to also think it's something that means a lot years from now, maybe even more than it does right now for those young ladies and yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big thing is I think the team accomplishments are really what we're focusing on right now. But certainly at some point I think we'll look back on it and appreciate what we were able to do. But you're right. We won Defensive Player of the Year, Midfielder of the Year, Forward of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Scholar Athlete of the Year. I mean, we swept them all.
So you swept them all in the regular season too. Talking about the SEC opponents. And then you fall in the championship game, which to me just speaks to how difficult the league is, because you got really pushed in the semis as well as the championship game itself.
Yeah, pretty incredible run. I think we're the first team since 2016 to go undefeated in the league. So went 10-0 in league play and then won the first two rounds of the SEC tournament, and eventually lost to South Carolina in the final. But to win 12 consecutive SEC games before losing in that final was pretty difficult to do, and certainly, again, something that I think we'll look back on in a few months from now and realize just how special that was.
So no team is perfect, even when you are going through a perfect regular season. But I also know from experience it's tough to get kids to listen quite as clearly to the mistakes they're making when they're still getting a victory at the end of the ball game. I would imagine in training this week, it has not been a major issue to have their attention.
No, absolutely not. And, certainly we wanted to win the game. And, I'm not going to say that, losing the game was good for us or anything like that. I mean, we wanted to win the tournament and lift the trophy. But at the same time, we're not dwelling on the loss. I mean, it is what it is. And, I think we're hungry for the NCAA tournament now.
So you got Jackson State coming in, and we want to talk about them and talk about how people can be there to support your team. But first, we're going to take a break. Hey Coach is presented by Alfa Insurance. For auto, home, and life insurance, call Alfa. We are back at Baumhauer's Victory Grill, continuing our visit. I'm Chris Stewart with Coach Wes Hart of the Alabama women's soccer team, the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament, coming up taking on Jackson State on Friday, 6 o'clock. Want to remind everybody of that. Tickets still available. Want to remind everybody of that. And also hurry, because we want to make sure that's not necessarily the case when they show up on Friday night, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is limited seating, and we did sell out the last game against Florida. We had to turn people away against Florida last time out. So hopefully we'll get that same kind of response, and people will show up tomorrow night.
How incredible was it to get that message after the fact? Coach, we had to turn people away.
It was crazy. I saw some videos on Twitter, and people sending videos of them standing outside the stadium and not able to get in, and something I don't know, I certainly dreamed of having happen, but I never thought it would be a reality, and to see that happen was pretty special.
Let's talk briefly about the opponent. Then I want you to brag on your young ladies and your squad and what you're going to have. Give us a bit of a scout, if you can, on who you're facing in Jackson State.
Yeah, Jackson State, they're the winners of the SWAC tournament, and they got the auto bid from their conference. We've all been around sports long enough to know that anything can happen. And so clearly on paper, us being the 1 seed and them being, a 16 seed, on paper we're the clear favorite. But as you know, in sports, you got to show up and you got to perform. So we're not taking them lightly at all.
Again, the first 200 students get free admission to the game tomorrow, and college students can pick up their ticket at Coleman beginning at 9 a.m. So again, those first 200 tickets available at 9 a.m. at the Coleman Coliseum. Ticket office there, $10 for general admission, $5 for youth. So again, these are good prices still for the tickets as you get ready for this NCAA tournament.
Yeah, hopefully people come out and support us. I think those fans that have come out, I think they leave entertained and realize we put on a pretty good product.
So 19 wins on the year. 15 in a row certainly helps that mark, but you go 10-0 in the league, and the home field, the home pitch has been a huge advantage. Yeah,
it's huge. We went undefeated this year, and for us to know that we're going to be at home, as long as we keep winning all the way to the Final Four, sleeping in our own beds and our normal routines, and then playing in front of our fans is massive.
We're talking about some of the things historically that have been done, and again, trying primarily to look forward, but to put it in context, you get to the finals of the tournament for the second time in program history. It hadn't been done since 95. That in and of itself is highly significant.
Yeah, the SEC tournament final.
Right,
yeah,
correct. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, and a heck of a run by our part. I mentioned already 10-0 in league play, and then winning the first two rounds of the SEC tournament, and having a chance to play for that final was massive, and just kind of ran out of steam. But certainly, I don't want that loss to take away from anything that our team was able to accomplish this year.
So a roster with Riley Parker, the Player of the Year in the league, and to me, one of the best stories that we've been able to hear about, because this young lady had to literally come back from the brink from an injury standpoint to be the best in one of the best leagues in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. A special kid, and worked so tremendously hard to rehab and get back. And for her to have the season that she had is truly remarkable. And then you've got Felicia Knox, who was midfielder of the year. Reina Reyes, who was defender of the year. Gianna Paul, who was rookie of the year. Just so many players, and I could literally go through the entire roster.
Right.
Every single player played a big role in our success this season.
And often that's the case for a championship team, but not always. Sometimes you've got one or two that just carry the load, carry the burden. And while you clearly had all-stars because of what was acknowledged, this was a roster that helped you across the board.
Oh, no question about that. And as I mentioned, you could go down the roster and pick every single player on the team and point out specific moments in the season, specific games where they either scored the winning goal or made the big play. Each and every one of them contributed in a big way.
Let's talk about what you've gotten in goal as well, because you got to score, you got to be able to attack, understand, but you also have to have somebody that's getting it done, as they say, between the pipes, and you're getting that done.
Yeah, absolutely. McKinley Crone has been massive for us this year, and you want your goalkeeper to make plays, fortunately for us, we had a lot of the ball this year, and we had a lot of chances, scored a lot of goals, but at the times we needed her to make a save, she did that. She kept us in games and allowed us a chance to win games.
What's been the most rewarding part of this process to this point?
As crazy as it sounds, I think the struggles that we went through over the years. It's our 8th year, I wouldn't trade any season we've gone through. We've had a couple rough patches along the way, and I think those struggles for me, while at the time was pretty difficult, but I look back now and I'm glad we went through those struggles, because it makes the wins and our success this season so much more meaningful.
There's no doubt you've gotten tons of texts, phone calls. Give me the one you weren't expecting that kind of got your attention the most.
Probably the one from you after beating Clemson.
Right. Yeah. You knew you're going to hear from me at some point.
I think what's awesome, and you probably see this. You've got different coaches on your show every week, but just the support within the coaching community here at the University of Alabama is incredible. And I think already that Murph traveled with us to Utah, but
I didn't know that until the other day. So tell the story for the audience that may not be aware of what Murph did, Patrick Murphy, our softball coach, did for you.
Yeah, so Murph is and I could go down the list. Every single coach, just how supportive they are. But Murph's been a good friend of mine. Ever since I got here, we share the same hallway. His office is 2 doors down from mine. But just developed a really good friendship. And he was talking to me a little bit about how he's traveled with some other sports over the years. I think he went. Can't remember where he went with volleyball, but it might have been like the Virgin Islands or something like that at one point. But he talked to me about trying to travel with us at some point, and I mentioned to him that we were going to Utah this year. He had never been to Utah before and thought it would be a fun trip to join us on. And so he came with us, spent a week with us in Salt Lake, and it was awesome for our players to, just be around a different coach here, a different voice, a new perspective. And I think it was good for him as well, just to see how other teams operate.
How much conversation have you had with him about this time of year? Because he is a coach who's quite familiar with being, and I know that you've got other, within the sport itself, resources that you talk to, but again, a guy that year after year has found his way to the College World Series.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to steal ideas off anyone, and so whether it's Murph or any coach in soccer, outside of soccer, at University of Alabama, I'm constantly picking people's brains and trying to figure out what works for them and ideas, and so Murph's just a tremendous resource just because of how successful he's been.
RollTide.com. Find the tickets now. Hurry. They will be going fast. They have been going fast. Probably not a ton left, but 6 o'clock is the start time for tomorrow night's game at the Alabama Soccer Complex. You've got Jackson State coming in, the 16th seed, and the number 1 seed, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I know it's got a nice ring to it now. It won't mean anything when they start tomorrow night, but, Coach, congratulations again and best of luck tomorrow night as well.
I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it so much. Coach Wes Hart of the Alabama soccer team, again, number 1 in the country as they start NCAA tournament play. Celebrate 40 years of Baumhower's Victory Grill this fall. New flavors including Alabama hot chicken, fajita wraps, and of course legendary buffalo wings. Baumhower's Victory Grill, it's the official watch party location of the Crimson Tide. We're back with more in just a moment on the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.